Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Some juicy drama emerging last night between Doug, Censor, Martin and the main crew of the Flank in the wake of the controversial Boston Breach roster changes over the last couple of days. Doug defending the decision to keep Snoopy around despite various accusations coming to the fore. The question being, where did these accusations come from? Who are the sources behind this whole saga? Are they being made for some sort of specific agenda? Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Rostermania continues to wade on. Firstly, Miami Heretics. Here is Real actually out there in the States alongside the rest of the boys. I don't know what's wrong with Ravens as an organisation, but fair play to Miami getting this done. I don't know if they had to spend more money to get it expedited or whatever the case is. But it's a job done now, and Real is here in the US with the rest of the guys. The feeling is, though, I will say, that the team is going to say the same for now. Here's ErikBooM laughing on the right-hand side, and maybe the feeling is that, well, will he be laughing for too much longer if Real takes his spots, because he didn't play particularly well last stage. But nonetheless, it's a bit strange to me that the feeling tends to be right now from Miami, they're going to keep the same starting four. Lucky, MettalZ, JurNii is gone, of course, with Vikul and ErikBooM now still on the team. I think this is fine either way in some regards, because I don't know how much difference it will make, to be honest, putting Real into the team, given, you know, the way that Spanish COD tends to go. But it is a little strange to me that you'd spend all this money and presumably time to get Real out there to the US into Miami and then, you know, not putting him in the starting roster. But I think nonetheless his presence just on the bench and with the team will put some pressure on, right? Because if anyone continues to underperform in that roster, they're going to get replaced. And who knows, maybe even before the qualifiers start again, they make a change if scrims aren't going especially well. So that was a cool thing to at least see him get over there. We also pretty sure we know what Minnesota Rocker are up to at the moment. Awakening is gone, although I'm not sure that's quite official yet. He will actually be playing with Cammy, 2Real and Years on a new Challengers team that's going forward. So that's pretty interesting because Cammy was theorized to potentially be joining the Boston Breach starting roster after being on their academy, but that is not the case because it's Beans back in the starting team. So Beans is back. I think he was a good player for these guys last season. Yes, there's no sniper rifle anymore, but I think the talent is there, the aggression is there, and I think he is a significantly better player than people really want to maybe give him credit for. We know that there was that whole Beans versus Gunless drama last year that came to something of a conclusion, and the conclusion is that Beans is back in the league and Gunless isn't quite as of yet. So, you know, he's a loud player, as Boston's say, lad just got louder. Obviously, he gets clowned on for the comms, right, as basically everybody has done. And look, there are certain moments where he said stuff in comms. It's not like he's the only person who says this type of stuff, to be fair. And also, his comms outside of that aren't exactly bad. But to me, there are just some questions as to whether the changes they're making are actually going to really provide the boost they're looking for. But honestly, can it get much worse? They're bottom of the league right now. They're rock bottom. They just dropped out top 12 at the major again for the second time in a row. So it's like any change they made could have been justified in some regard. The feeling is that Slasher especially, and maybe Asim as well, weren't so happy with keeping Snoopy around, and the team effectively had to make a call as to whether they were going to keep Snoopy on the roster or whether they were going to get rid of those guys, and that's what's turned out to be the case. So Priestahh stays alongside Beans. I definitely feel like of what they've done here, a Slasher Beans situation in my head makes more sense. But, you know, there's more to it than just pure gameplay. There's outside of the game factors, what they think about Snoopy, these other things. The other change, though, is pretty cool, I think, because Pentagram has been grinding for so many years to get this guy finally into the league. I think it's great stuff. I mean, he probably should have got a spot before now. He was close to getting on the Boston team, I suppose, before he was on the Thieves bench for some time as well. But, you know, Thieves at that point had a rather good team. But as Pentagram says, beyond stoked for my first opportunity in the Pro League. Been a long time coming. I'm prepared to do everything I can to turn this year around. Time to lock in and show why I deserve this, right? It's a nice statement here from Pentagram because, you know, I'm hoping he can deliver because one of those players that's been on the brink for so many years, and this is the chance. If you squander it, good luck getting another one, basically. And he knows that full well. So Pentagram's going to lock in, do what he can to turn this team around. They've got some pieces there, they've got some talent there, and if they can get on the same page and actually want to play with each other, I think that was probably a key problem with last time, you know, the Boston Breach team previously. Like, I don't think those guys necessarily wanted to play with each other. And if that is the case, then the team inevitably isn't going to do particularly well. If these guys do, they can turn it around. They've got the talent. There's still, of course, a very good chance to make it to the World Championship. Nothing is set in stone yet, but they clearly needed to make changes now if they wanted to make that happen. But of course, the two players to make way were Slasher and Asim. Arguably, their two best performers on LAN this season, which is why this has been a very controversial move for a number of angles. As I've said, if you're last in the league and you've just slammed out top 12 of the major, then anything goes as far as I'm concerned. But this is where the drama starts to kick off. So Asim was back on the FaZe Black team as of yesterday and in the challenger side, and I'm sure he's going to do a good job there. You know, I've said it before, I think that Asim is a solid CDL caliber player, has some good upside and has some great attributes to himself as a player. Is he phenomenal individually? I don't personally think so, and this is why I get somewhat confused when people are treating this change like Simp's just been dropped from FaZe or something, because, you know, that isn't really, I don't think, what we're looking at here. But this is when Censor wades into the conversation. So the feeling is that the flank guys, you know, ZooMaa, Ben, they're boys with the scene. This is a known thing, and therefore it's understandable they're going to defend their boy when situations like this occur. I wish maybe at times that they would at least admit there was some degree of bias here in play, which I think that there is, and Doug is trying to kind of get that out of them. But when things get kind of spicy is when he makes some comment on why ZooMaa is defending Asim, and therefore levying some potential criticism to Snoopy in the way that he is. So Doug gives some thoughts on that, and then Doug actually went on to say later in the day about this information that ZooMaa and Ben had mentioned on stream. So there was actually a clip of Doug saying this, and this morning it was deleted from his streams. I'm guessing Doug went through and purged a couple of things. But effectively, I'll share the clip from ZooMaa's side in a second, where ZooMaa and Ben were talking about and heavily implying and basically saying that there was a certain player that was forgetting play calls. You know, they'd decide to do something in a hardpoint or in a search and destroy, and he'd forget what it was. And, well, basically the belief was that was Snoopy. So then the question being, well, where did ZooMaa and Ben and those guys get their information from? Who were their sources? And that's when Censor was kind of implying that, yeah, maybe it was Asim that told this information to ZooMaa, and that's effectively why he got dropped.
Why keep Snoop? I mean, his upside is really good. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, look, you could see opinions on social media, and you could hear my opinion too, but I hear everything. I hear everything behind closed doors. Everything. There's nothing I don't hear or see. So people got to assess the situation for what they actually are hearing and seeing, and try to do your absolute best to do the best thing for the team on a lot of levels. There's a lot of opportunities for a lot of players in the league. How long can you wait to see it? Are you brainwashed by the flank? I'm just sick and tired. Like, can you guys give me all the examples? Y'all got to understand, I see everything. I see every match. I see every scrim. I see every word that's being said. You guys are just brainwashed by what you hear on the flank. I'm convinced. I am convinced that the flank brainwashes people. ZooMaa is looking for money and engagement, guys. As a person who understands content farming to the highest level, way higher than anything I've seen in this entire world, I know content farming and I know how to manipulate people extremely well. I gave that all up for a reason. I don't pay attention to that dumb shit anymore. Not to the way I used to. But it's all a money grab, guys. You got to understand it's a money grab. You got to look at things for what they really are.
He caught me. What am I going to do? Fuck! There goes my whole fucking operation. Shit! Fuck! What the fuck?
Brother, he played one event, played great. And he was a good and he was a good teammate. And I'm hearing that there were certain people on the team showing up late for practice, not going hard.
Okay,
when you have Asim going hard as fuck every day, performing, being a good teammate, what do you want him to do?
I would have kept Asim.
Okay, so why are you saying friendship cheese then? Why are you saying friendship cheese?
Well, I'm just saying you guys would like blow the fuck out of it because it's Asim.
Bro, if Asim was getting shit up.
No, because it's a search issue. I think they were so bad at search. I don't think their respawn was that bad. It wasn't good, but like their search was
I know for a fact. I know. I'll say this, Tom, because I don't give a shit. I know for a fact that there was definitely players in the team that were just completely and utterly blowing play calls in S&D, just blatantly like multiple times in the map.
What do you mean, like not listening to the play call?
No, like listening to play call and just completely forgetting the said play call.
Okay, so like these are things that we don't know. I'm saying from the public eye, it's like I understand.
We're just not executing strats, bro. Like I don't know.
Like you guys are saying Asim, like
Doug for years, bro. Like if he wants to talk, we'll talk.
And I got no problems with Doug. I don't got any problems. It's just I don't like the way he was talking. Like, because if you're gonna like Ben's saying, if you're gonna say something, bro, you have to say it. You can't just like be on the bridge about it and then just leave us
here
with
your chest or don't say it, bro.
Right. Because then it just leaves us here like, who the fuck is he talking about?
If anyone's gotten fucked over here as of recently, it's fucking Asim.
I mean, yeah, but
I mean, at the end of the day, bro, standing on business is about making the best. You know, we're talking about a business and how it's run. So, like,
Correct.
Some people get fucked over. People get fucked over all the time.
Yes, Tom.
And,
yes, they do. Yes, they do. We don't got to go down that road either, Tom. Yes, they do. They absolutely do get fucked over all the time. I'm done with this call, guys. There's nothing else to say. I hope you guys enjoy your night. Enjoy. Bye.
Later, bro.
User disconnected.
Yo, what the fuck was that, bro?
So maybe you could argue that Doug isn't really one to talk in this case, just because he wore the wire back in the day, right? We know the story, if you guys aren't aware, back in the World War II days when there used to be pro points game battles, when the teams would have to play a few game battles matches a day to get their pro points up, and effectively certain pro teams were using ringers, using other people to get their points for them because, you know, they were just going to win their matches anyway. And Doug was wearing a wire to try and expose Nameless talking about this. Classic stuff. So maybe we're talking about leaking, we're talking about being a rat or whatever. Maybe Doug isn't one to get angry about this. That is one side of the argument. But the point really being that Doug is trying to get across is that this information was coming from somewhere that they mentioned on stream, and Doug's feeling was that was coming from Asim, and it was being said by ZooMaa and Ben on the show to, you know, rack up the views, I suppose, and talk about some drama, but also to defend Asim from the Snoopy situation, right? Because by leaking that Snoopy was having these problems and forgetting about things and being the problem is kind of the implication there, then that's defending Asim and saying, well, he shouldn't have been dropped because this kid was actually causing the problems. So this is when Ben then responded to this, and I feel like in the discussion they had with Doug, which got pretty heated on their stream, I don't really fall on either side of this. I don't think there's an issue for Asim, if this was the case. I don't think there's an issue with Asim talking to his boys about what happened. You know, he's been dropped from the team, you know, he's going to talk to the guys about what's happened behind the scenes, if that is true, that this is what has occurred behind, you know, behind closed doors. But then the question is, and I think that's what Doug's saying, is like, is it appropriate for Ben and ZooMaa and those guys to talk about this stuff on stream publicly and bring this information to light when, you know, there is potentially an agenda in play, right? You know, they're trying to defend Asim, they're trying to criticize Snoopy, but also Doug. I mean, it seems like he's acting basically like the coach of the team now, right? I mean, this guy technically isn't, but he's involved in the organization. He is definitely involved in some of the decision-making situations over there. So, you know, Doug has more involvement here than otherwise might be expected of somebody in this situation. Of course, he's played with Snoopy as well and has input on his future. So Ben actually replies and says, correct, this information on Snoopy forgetting play calls was confirmed by multiple sources close to the organizations. Of course, the classic joke would be, well, who are those multiple sources? You know, maybe it's something like this as PD Gaming puts on the Reddit yesterday. But as Ben goes on to say, I'm going to be honest with you, team problems in COD have never stayed in-house. It used to be worse pre-CDL because players would roast their teammates live on stream late night. The only solution is to have a better count where problems get addressed in a timely fashion and don't get leaked out publicly. So then people are like, well, who's the source? You know, like, who's told you guys this? And then you're talking about it publicly on stream. Is it Asim? Ben says, well, it's multiple sources close to the team. It's not him and it's not Austin. It may be both of them, but also other individuals as well. I don't know. Could it be Josh, who just got dropped as well as their coach? Could it be other people in the team? We don't know. But Ben says, yeah, he's got multiple sources that confirmed this story, not Asim or not Slasher, Austin. Although, as I say, maybe they had a word with some of those guys. I'd be surprised if Asim didn't say something behind the scenes to these guys. And Ben says, yeah, I have multiple sources that confirm the story. So I'm not saying that what they're saying is wrong. In fact, it's probably quite likely that what they're saying is very much true. The question is from Doug's side whether they really should be talking about this publicly and whether that's perfectly fine to do so. Look, for me, it's drama, it's content, I don't really care. But it does create a lot of intrigue, right? And this is actually what Clay goes on to say. Why you gotta be careful who you say stuff to, because half the time it just comes out and they have got a witch hunt and people are losing their jobs because people need views, which is a really interesting thing for Clay to say, actually. And no, I'm not blaming anyone for anything. You just can't open up about internal team stuff to people whose entire livelihood depends on drama and views. So I don't really know who he's talking about necessarily here, but obviously the implication is, given this is all going on ZooMaa's stream, that he's talking about ZooMaa and Ben, right? Because I mean, presumably Asim has been talking to those guys about what's happened. Now it's coming out publicly, and there's all this drama. There's a witch hunt. There's people talking, oh, he's a rat, and all this stuff, and leaking it. Doug Censor Martin's getting involved in like the Boston, kind of towing the party line side. It's all chaos. Now Clay comes out on stream, actually, in ZooMaa's chat and says, I wasn't talking about you. But it's just like, if you're not going to mention the specific names, then people are obviously going to leap to the assumption that Clay's talking about ZooMaa and or Ben, right? Because, I mean, who else could he be talking about at the time? Maybe he's talking about some of the stuff we do on the Breaking Point side, but I don't think the players are often having a chat with us. So, you know, very interesting, I thought. And then Clay deletes this and says, you know, never mind, I forgot I'm not trying to insert myself into stuff that doesn't concern me, carry on, deleted the tweets. And then people are like, well, why delete them? Because people are going to see them anyway. Clay says, well, you know, stops people finding their mentions, which is fair enough. But yeah, surprising drama to me from start to finish. Some entertaining clips for sure. And where does it exactly go from here? Does this also matter at the end of the day? Is it going to affect Boston's decision making? Could their team get better? Like, I think their team should get better. If those four guys actually want to play with each other and want to work to improve, and want to improve on some of these problems that we have described today, then I think they can get better. Whether keeping Snoopy over Asim was a good idea, I do think that Snoopy has a higher ceiling than Asim does. Clearly, the flanks perception is that Asim was the one doing his best to make the team work, and that's perfectly fair enough, but it's not like, you know, he had crazy stats that were entirely undeniable during the course of the stage. So very much interested your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.